Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Road to an Effective Classroom Environment. I am your host, Dr. LaShanta, also known as that classy, sassy consultant. And we are here today to look at leading on purpose, the power of effective leadership. That is our episode for today. So I want you to imagine two teams. In one school district, you have one school that has an effective team and another school that has a team that has some things that they're trying to get together. Okay. They have the same talent and the same resources, but one team is burnt out, second guessing the decisions that are being made. And then the other team is energized, aligned, and making results. So, what's the difference between the two? It's not the perks that they received or don't receive, and it's not luck. It's the leadership, the kind of leadership that sets direction, builds trust, and removes friction so people can do their best work. This is considered effective leadership. So let's jump into this. If you want your classroom or your company or your school district or your campus to move from compliance to commitment, this episode is for you. So, our discussion today, we're going to look at a few components. First, we're going to talk about the four anchors of effective leadership, and we're going to look at clarity, character, competence, and connection. And you've heard those words used in different episodes that were about different topics, but we're going to talk about those four words, those four anchors of effective leadership today. And then we're going to talk about five high leverage behaviors that you can jump into and start implementing this week if you haven't already. And then we're going to do some action planning, and then you'll have an opportunity to also reflect because reflection allows you to remain accountable about your own actions in your leadership. So go ahead and grab a notebook and we're going to dive right on into this so that you will have some tools in your toolbox that you can use on Monday. So let's start with the foundation. The foundation is looking at those four anchors of effective leadership: clarity, character, competence, and connection. So the first one we want to talk about is clarity. Clarity is important because as a leader, people do not follow ideas if they can't see them. You have to be that visionary leader who is able to map out and show others exactly what the end will be. Effective leaders, they translate purpose into plain language. Where are we going? Why now? What will be different? And with clarity in your leadership, that means not just saying you're doing this because I say so. You can't treat your leadership style as if it's a parent and child. Some of you may remember, or you may have had it with your own parents, where your parents told you don't touch the stove, and as a little kid you may say, well, why not? And the parent's response is, because I said so. That didn't always manifest into the child actually following those directions, because children have curiosity. And so the child did what? Ended up touching the stove. So you don't want to treat your leadership as if this is a parent and child relationship. You want to give clarity. Why are we doing this? Why have we changed this document? Why are we going in this particular direction? You must be able to answer those questions without saying, because I said so, or because the district has implemented this idea and we're going to do it. You need to know the why behind why policies are being put in place so that when you have to speak to your staff, you are able to effectively give them the answers that they're seeking. Clarity turns effort into progress because everyone can aim in the same direction. All right, so that's clarity. Next, character. Now, you've heard me talk about character in other episodes. Character is so very important and so very crucial when it comes to leadership. Character is how you earn trust when no one is watching. It is consistency between what you say and what you do. Character also means owning up to your mistakes. If you make a mistake, there is nothing wrong as a leader in saying, I messed up. Also, as a leader, you want to be able to share credit. That is a part of having good character, is that if your school has made improvement, give credit to the individuals that were responsible and share that credit. And also, part of character is making the hard calls when it is right, but it's not convenient. Sometimes in leadership, we have to make decisions of not renewing contracts if you are in an administrative position, not renewing a contract for a teacher who has not improved over an extended period of time. Those are hard decisions to make, but they are made because it's the right thing to do, but it's not always convenient. So that's our second foundation, character. Next, competence. Competence is not perfection. And by no means, you can be a competent individual, but you may still have flaws yourself. So it doesn't mean you are perfection. Competence is discipline, the discipline to learn fast, make decisions with the data that you have in place, and improve in public. And when you are a competent leader, you set the bar for preparation and follow through. That's leadership. Being competent, learning fast, using that data to make decisions, and improving even in the eyes of those who you are serving. And then the last foundation, the last of the four anchors of effective leadership is connection. You've heard this word used in other episodes. If you're a fan of the Road to an Effective Classroom Environment, you've heard me talk about connections and relationships and how important that is. Connection is important. Results require relationships. People commit when they feel seen and when they feel safe and they feel like they are significant. So you have to make connections with those people that you are working with, no matter who they are and no matter what level they're on. Making connections means building by listening, securing psychological safety, and then providing meaningful feedback. Connections are important. You want to establish relationships, and you can establish relationships and make connections when you allow people to feel seen, help them to feel safe, and to make them feel that they are truly significant. So, together, these anchors make leadership portable across no matter what classroom, what team, or what season you're in. These four anchors, clarity, character, competence, and connection, these anchors make leadership portable no matter where you may go. All right. So, next, let's look at 5 high leverage behaviors. So these are some things that you can do in order to show that you are an effective leader. This is what effective leadership looks like. So the first one we're going to look at is making sure that you're able to share with your staff, with your committee, with your personnel. You want to make sure that you're able to show what the purpose is for that week, that school year, that month. You want to set your purpose, priorities, and make sure that this is shared throughout the school, throughout that company. Share it widely. Make sure that you review over those things weekly. This can be done in a one-page strategy sheet. If you complete that one-page strategy sheet, have that accessible where everyone has their own copy, where you define what the purpose is for the school year or for this meeting, making sure that you have your priorities listed out. All of this is important to review over weekly because you want to keep these ideas and purpose and goals in front of your personnel, in front of your staff. You want it to stay in the forefront. This is an example of how an effective leader leads. Another strategy is to run trust first meetings. So, what are those? Trust first meetings, you start by talking about what are some of the wins? What are some great things that have happened in our building that have impacted us in a positive way? Opening up the meeting with your wins, having everyone to share out their wins, whether it's written or it's verbal, but you want to make sure that people are able to say what are the great things that they have going on in their building, in their classrooms. Next strategy is coaching with questions. Now, this is important because it allows you to have feedback coming from those who are serving you, those who are your staff, your personnel. So, coaching with questions, use a simple coaching strategy where you have questions that you offer up and you receive responses from those individuals in a meeting, or even just when you're going from classroom to classroom, if you are an administrator or district level leadership, if you're running a company, you want to be able to talk to those individuals and open up by asking them questions that talk about what's going on in that building. That way you can get a perspective from them of how they feel about your leadership. And then lastly, the last high leverage behavior is make data small and daily. So what does that mean? You want to find something that is tangible data about what's going on in your school, in your district, or in your company. Find something tangible. Place it somewhere in the teacher's workroom or on a bulletin board. Place it somewhere where it's visible. And that way, anyone can see that one piece of data that says we had 98% of our teachers came to work for this week. That's a celebration. That's tangible data that you've collected. And when you place that somewhere where others can see it, whether it's parents, visitors that are coming through, clients, consumers, they can see that you celebrate even the small things because 98% rate of teachers coming to work, that is not a small celebration. Others might think is small, but that's a big celebration. You have to celebrate even the small things, what seem to be or appear to be small, because that leads into other conversations about what else can we do in order to show that we've got it going on in this building. We have it going on in this company. So those are 5 high leverage behaviors that you can begin to implement, making sure your purpose, your goals, your priorities are shared out widely. That was our first one. Put it on a strategy sheet. And that's something you can share out and keep it in the forefront of everyone's mind. Run trust first meetings, starting out with your wins. That was our second one. Our third one was coaching with questions, asking questions so you can get that feedback about how things are going in your building, in your company. The fourth one was practice kind candor. We did not touch on that one, so we're going to go back. So our fourth one was practicing kind candor. Clear is kind. That means making sure that you keep things very simple and to the point to where you are able to understand your personnel, your staff, they're able to understand what you're talking about, and that you keep it, and keeping it simple, also keep it kind without the condescending um, voice in it. Keep it specific, keep it short, keep it professional. So that's our fourth one. I apologize. We skipped over that one, but hey, I'm so excited about this topic that sometimes we will go into some things and you'll be like, oh, wait a minute now. We were supposed to get 5 and you gave us 4. So I'm glad I remembered that we were able to go back. So practice kind candor. That is our fourth high leverage behavior. Keep it specific, keep it short. And then lastly, making that data, make data small, do it daily, do it weekly. Find one thing that you can post in the teacher's workroom, on a bulletin board, make it visible. Celebrate that there is some movement. Celebrate that there are some things that are happening, that some things that are being improved upon. It's not perfection, but you're making things happen. Celebrate the small stuff. So these are behaviors that are teachable, they're repeatable, and they're visible. And your team will feel the lift. They will feel that they are being effective. All right. So what we're going to do now is move into our action plan. So as you start off your week, there are some things that you can do to incorporate the strategies that we've talked about. So let's take a look at a 5-day action plan. All right. So day one, you want to share out that strategy sheet about what your the purpose is for the week, or the purpose, what the purpose is for the week, or what goals that you have for your team for the week. Share it out with your team. That's that 1-page strategy sheet. So this is an example of clarifying your leadership. You're clarifying what it is that you want your team to be able to do, what you're wanting your staff to be able to do, what you're wanting your teachers to be able to do. Day 2, begin looking at redesigning your meetings. That may mean looking back over your agenda template and making decisions about that change. So from year to year, you don't have to keep the same meeting template. It may mean you may need to make adjustments over time. So over time, take a look at the template. Is this the most effective way that we can meet? Should we change some things around? Should we just throw the whole template out and start all over and find something different? This is an example of cadence. When you are able to review and look back over what you are doing and if it's effective, and it only takes a short period of time. The time period of looking at an agenda template and changing it up may take anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. But that little small change can help you to be more effective in your meetings, in your planning, and how you do business. And then day 3 of this week, you want to have coaching conversations. And coaching can be difficult if you're uncomfortable, but sometimes you have to get a little uncomfortable in order to get some results. But hold some coaching conversations and talk about some point in your building, something that you want more information about. And in that coaching conversation, you are looking at how you can pull out some goals from the feedback that that individual gives you. So have some coaching conversations, have a couple of them, 2 or 3. Have a couple of coaching conversations that don't take anything longer than 15 minutes. If you are in a school, you can do this during a planning period. You can do it before school or after school. And I would even challenge you to have these conversations with individuals who you don't normally see or talk to on a regular basis, or even a bigger challenge, talking with someone who is a difficult staff member, a difficult teacher, or a difficult employee. Because if you start there, you begin to see exactly what are some things that may be able you need to be able to change, and also you are able to look at some things that that individual may need to change. And this could be the coaching meeting that evolves into another meeting in which you two come together in order to be better. You're not going to be perfect, but you each could have a better understanding of what the other person is doing. And then on day 4, give someone some specific feedback. If you're an administrator, you go into a classroom and you do a walkthrough and you see something that you really liked. Let's say that the teacher had an engaging conversation with a student who was struggling, and just from listening to that individual, you were able to hear that the teacher understood how to get the student from point A to point B so that he or she could understand the material. Give that individual some specific feedback. I've done an episode on feedback, on warm and cool feedback. And a part of giving feedback is you want to be specific. So give specifics. You want to shy away from using words like I liked this or this was awesome, but be specific. Tell that teacher, I I saw what you were doing with the student. I saw that you were sitting next to the student and you got down to the student's level and you were helping the student to better understand the information. And this allowed the student to better comprehend what you were teaching because you were with that student one on one. That is so specific. That is specific feedback. But you want to be able to give someone on day 4, go and give someone some specific feedback. And then on Friday, day 5, celebrate. This is a opportunity for you to name some type of win. And also you want to make some adjustments for the next week. So on the 5th day, when you look back over everything that you've done from day 1 to day 4, look over and see what did you do in those 4 days. What is a win that you can celebrate? What is a lesson that you had that you are learning from? And then what is an adjustment you're going to do for the following week? So you want to use day 5 to kind of put closure to all of the actions that you've had from Monday to Thursday, and then share anything that someone has done that has helped you in your wins, or has helped you in your lesson, or has helped you to make an adjustment that will happen for next week. Share that publicly. Share with your staff. Share with your personnel. Share the credit that whatever win, lesson, or adjustment that you have had from that week, make sure you share it with your folks so that they understand. That is transparent leadership. When you are transparent about what you do and how you make decisions and when you make mistakes, transparency goes a long way with your staff and will go a long way with your employees. So we've covered a lot of information. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to think about a couple of questions, or about 3 questions I'm going to share with you. What is your North Star? What is your North Star for this month? It could be for this quarter, but what is your North Star? And we all know that the North Star guides us and leads us to where we need to go, right? So, what is your North Star in your classroom, in your school district, in your company? What is your North Star for this month or for this quarter. Then the next question is, which behavior will you practice this week? Are you going to practice looking at your meetings and changing up how you meet? Are you going to change up how you coach? Are you going to begin coaching? What is a single behavior that you're going to practice this week? Are you going to change up your connections and how you connect with people? Are you going to change up how you celebrate your wins and how you let people know about the wins? And then thirdly, think about someone who would need to hear appreciation from you today. Think about that. Who needs to hear appreciation from you today? Now, depending on what day you're hearing this, if you're hearing it today, Sunday, this is a recording that is being made on Sunday, August 17th, 2025. But whatever day that you're hearing this on, think about someone who needs to hear that he or she is appreciated. Okay? So those are your reflection questions for this episode. Keep in mind that effective leadership is not about having a title. It is definitely not about having a title. It is a daily practice of clarity, character, competence, and connection are four anchors of effective leadership. And if this episode today has helped you, share it with a colleague. Also, leave me a rating. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, subscribe. That way you won't ever miss out on another episode and you won't forget about it. You will be there in the mix to know when the next one is coming about. I hope you have enjoyed what you've heard today. We've talked about the four anchors of effective leadership. We've talked a little bit about our 5 high leverage behaviors and some things that you're going to do for this week. And then we've gone into our reflective thoughts and some things that you want to think about as you go into your work week this week. And so it is with great pleasure that I say thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this podcast, The Road to an Effective Classroom Environment. I am your host, Dr. LaShanta, also known as that classy, sassy consultant, and I am signing off. Have a great one.